Remember Laura, that wildly impulsive redhead, who, just 12 weeks ago, thought it was a brilliant idea to buy an abandoned bungalow that had been sitting empty for a mere 16 years. Let's take a moment to recap the utterly chaotic adventures of this DIY daredevil, whose life choices have always been questionable. Her and her team of retired Avengers hacked their way through the overgrown jungle. Then came the goats, Gary and Brian, the four-legged legends, brought in to tackle the weekday gardening shifts. Once tons of ivy had been removed and the actual house revealed itself, Laura turned her mind indoors. First task, emptying the kitchen cupboards, home to vintage food relics from the noughties. Armed with her 2-pound sledgehammer from a car boot sale, she began smashing everything in sight, including the kitchen sink, and why not the bathroom sink too. Next up, she rented a digger. Because you have to start somewhere. Mind, most people might not start by operating heavy machinery as a beginner. But, against all odds and several betting pools, she didn't tip it. Instead, she uprooted ivy roots like her sanity depended on it. Inside, wallpaper practically fled the walls. Door frames were banished, and rotten floor joists disintegrated at her touch. The garage just pushed over. Naturally, Laura got bored of walls and needed fresh destruction, so she upped the ante with a much bigger digger. 75 tons of concrete and soil, gone in a day. It will just be a casual weekend hobby, I'm sure, she originally said, continued in part 2. The 12-week update continued. Back inside, tiles were smashed, more internal walls came down, and Laura continued to disrespect the concept of rest. Sleep is a luxury she traded for demolition satisfaction and caffeine-induced hallucinations. Every wall stripped back to brick, floorboards removed, foundations swept out, 2 chimneys removed externally and internally. Then came the agonizing clearance of the bricks. So many bricks, Laura had to make an emergency Sunday afternoon call to her dad to come help. Even in the rain, they cleared bricks ready for the tree surgeons to remove the dangerously close and terrifyingly large trees. Laura now has firewood and bricks for sale. Maybe enough bricks to build another bungalow. Laura then stepped out of the role of demolition contractor into project manager mode. Cue the site visits from engineers, mains, electric, gas, water, and waste to discuss options to get this abandoned property running again. Meetings with electricians, plumbers, and carpenters also took place to discuss her vision. All whilst Laura casually wears t-shirts she's created herself purely for her own entertainment. Because happiness is infectious, and why not lighten the seriousness of renovating a 100-year-old building? Then sadly, the spreadsheets had to come out. So did the budget panic. Endless checklists were written, rewritten, and probably lost. But, in a short, back-breaking time, she's turned a derelict dump into her future home. And here's the kicker. Somewhere between goat wrangling and wall demolishing, Laura, for maybe the first time in her life, has started to feel proud of herself. Your kind words and support are definitely helping her spirits. Imagine Christmas morning with toddlers, which was similar to unboxing Ryobi tools with this gang. Although Laura was definitely the most excited of the bunch. Gary, of course, was thrilled about the cardboard boxes. They tasted delicious. In true Gary fashion, he still found something to have beef with. He's so ungrateful at times. It did mean that they could get an extension, because the boys are strangely terrified of the rain. Oh, and the sound of the Ryobi drill starting. Laura now has all the gear, but still no idea. Another day of winging it. The truth be told, the end result's, however, perfectly fine. These fluorescent green tools certainly helped. The goats even got a house plaque. Gary, of course, had to do a close checkup on the work to make sure it was to his standards. but he gave it the nod of approval. The ducks, naturally, were fuming. They've been loyal tenants for far longer than the goats, and are now demanding an upgrade to their quarters. They're considering forming a union. Little do any of them know, Laura's real plan is far more generous. She is literally renovating an entire abandoned house for all of them to move into. But try explaining long-term property development plans to a pair of gormless goats and demanding ducks. As always, safety is never compromised. Laura and the team take PPE extremely seriously. Right up there with proper power tool etiquette and well before having fun, obviously. Let's talk numbers, shall we? How much has Laura spent at the abandoned bungalow over the last 13 weeks? People say time is money, but Laura clearly missed that memo. She's more than happy to be paid in backache, mysterious bruises, discovering muscles she didn't know existed, and a home at the end of all this. The whole house was emptied, everything gone. Of course, we know about Laura's heavy machinery addiction. She now browses the plant hire catalogue like it's a holiday brochure, wondering what to try next. Chimneys removed, along with 75 tons of earth and concrete that magically appear outside, so you have to pay someone to make it disappear again. Think of it as very expensive magic, except you don't get applause, just an empty bank account. Tree surgeons arrived because apparently just chopping it down yourself wasn't an option when the trees could kill you and the neighbors. They turned up, made more noise than an airport runway, and charged the same as a week in Paris. Scrap metal weighed in to put a little cash back into the money pit, money pot. Then arrived the first lot of materials to sit in a corner. That's the cost of a luxury holiday. But instead, Laura has an emptied garden, some scattered building materials, and a growing addiction to machinery hire. With an empty shell of a bungalow and a suspicious twinkle in her eye that says, "Time to make a home." It's 6 a.m. on Saturday morning, and even Gary's excited about the day ahead. Whilst normal people are still unconscious, drooling on their pillows, Laura arrives at the abandoned bungalow. She decided to start by removing the old fireplace, because nothing says living the dream quite like ripping out fireplaces before breakfast. She soon discovered a back boiler that's been hiding there since the 60s. This is sadly the only heating system found in this property, so I do hope Laura has a good coat to sleep in, or some big plans to put in a fancy new heating system. But she's not stressing about heating. She's far too busy lovingly saving every single quarry tile from the kitchen floor. Heating, boring. Cute greenhouse flooring and pathways, absolutely essential. The very last piece of wallpaper gone, and just like that, it was the afternoon, which meant she could finally start making a ridiculous amount of noise, mainly to feed her ongoing and slightly concerning tool hire addiction. Meanwhile, the garden continued to cough up concrete. Every time she digs, more appears. One can only assume the previous owner spent their weekends with a cement mixer playing DIY Minecraft, and certainly did not like grass. The day flew by when Laura remembered she had a wedding to go to. Because nothing says wedding guest glam like 10 hours of demolition dust. She gave herself a heroic 40 minutes to transform from dirty builder to acceptable human, scrubbing herself down with the speed and precision of a Formula One pit stop.